Manjari Prabhu, would you like to read?
Sure.
Let's see. This is a letter. You can. Okay, slide. You can see the date up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
June 14th, 1960, letter to Hayagriva.
Yes. Where
Where
you want
to start?
That's interesting because that's before Hayagriva and Kirtananda came back into ISKCON per se.
Oh, okay.
They'd run off, stolen the Gita, and were trying to publish it in their own name, then started a commune of their own where they're going to start their own movement in West Virginia, and they rented a place and they sent Prabhupada an incredibly insulting letter on a letterhead that the acronym, being Hayagriva, was FUCKYOU. When the word, there were words for each one of those things, but First United Church sort of thing, for Krishna. So they were being very bad. So what I'm mentioning it not to put them down. I'm mentioning this so we can see how, just like with the July 9th letter, how did Prabhupada take a disaster and turn it around and make it into a transcendental asset? You see? Because that's what we're facing. The July 9th letter is Prabhupada turning around a disaster, not a good-hearted attempt or weak attempt to keep the movement going. He knew exactly what he was doing and it worked. End of story. Not that we should have bogus initiators,
Right.
but that if you, knowing that they were going to declare themselves such, keep the movement together. So with a masterstroke, including not signing the July 9th letter, I have to add again, Tamal signed it and he witnessed it on the side, approved it. When the mystery opens up and we learn the real history that happened after that, we'll see that Prabhupada knew exactly what he was doing, why he was doing it, and it had zero to do with Ritviks, because the representative Acharya system, which he preferred over the word Ritvik and used until Tamal took it away from him, it was already in place. There was nothing to do. There was no need for a July 9th letter for initiation, but there was a need for the July 9th letter to get the conspirators and poisoners together so that they would stay together instead of breaking the movement up in individual temples with individual gurus in them, the way the Gaudiya did. Okay, end of my comment.
Guys, so I'd just like to make a point that anyone who's watching this on Facebook and YouTube, if they'd like to join, please send a message to me or Bhanu Prabhu. It's being broadcast on how many channels, Bhanu Prabhu? 4 channels?
Yeah, 4 channels.
4 channels on
YouTube
YouTube.
and 3.
Yes, YouTube. We Love Radha Krishna on YouTube. Hare Krishna Center Sacramento. Leak for 10K, and the Vedic Student on YouTube. So any of these platforms, they can send a message and you can come on Zoom and ask a question to Narayan Prabhu or anyone else here. All right, so let me share the screen. Okay, there you go. Wherever you want to start, Prabhu, Manjari Prabhu.
Say the Rath Yatra festival is going to be held between 27th June to 7th July, and they are making arrangement than last year and expecting a number from 1,000 to 5,000 will attend the procession, chanting Hare Krishna. They have been advised to turn San Francisco gradually into New Jagannath Puri, and I have advised Kirtanananda and yourself to convert West Virginia into New Vrindavan. I understand the spot is very beautiful, and the hills may be renamed as New Govardhan. And if there are lakes, they can be renamed as Shamakund and Radhakund. Vrindavan does not require to be modernized because Krishna's Vrindavan is transcendental village. They completely depend on nature's beauty and nature's protection. The community in which Krishna preferred to belong was Vaishya community because Nanda Maharaj happened to be a Vaishya king or landholder, and his main business was cow protection. It is understood that he had 900,000 cows, and and Balaram used to take charge of them, along with his many cowherd boyfriends. And every day in the morning, he used to go out with his friends and cows into the pasturing ground. So if you seriously want to convert this new spot as New Vrindavan, I shall advise you not to make it very much modernized. But as you are American boys, you must make it just suitable to your minimum needs. Not to make it too much luxurious, as generally Europeans and Americans are accustomed. Better to live there without modern amenities, but to live a natural, healthy life for executing Krishna consciousness. It may be an ideal village where the residents will have plain living and high thinking. For plain living, we must have sufficient land for raising crops and pasturing grounds for the cows. If there is sufficient grains and production of milk, then the whole economic problem is solved. You do not require any machines, cinema, hotels, slaughterhouses, brothels, nightclubs, all these modern amenities. People in the spell of Maya are trying to squeeze out gross pleasure from the senses, which is not possible to derive to our heart's content. Therefore, we are confused and baffled in our attempt to eschew eternal pleasure from gross matter. Actually, joyful life is on a spiritual platform. Therefore, we should try to save our valuable time from material activities and engage them for Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, because we have to keep our body and soul together to execute our mission, we must have sufficient, not extravagant food to eat. And that will be supplied by grains, fruits, and milk. So if you can develop this place to that ideal life and the residents become Krishna conscious men in that part of your country, I think not only many philosophically minded people will be attracted, but they will be benefited also.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing, huh? Prabhupada.
Very nice.
It sounds as though that's basically the format which we ourselves are working on.
Right. Krishna. Try. 900,000 cows.
That's a lot.
Krishna Mora.
Well, the interesting thing about Vrindavan is it has these different vanas or forests, that each vana, each lotus petal, when it's there, it's just a small piece of land with all of those lotus petals. But you go into each lotus petal and it opens up into a huge multi-dimensional space. So when Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan, you might say, well, I've been to Vrindavan, where are you going to put 900,000 cows? Well, if you go into one of the vanas that has the lotus petals that is arranged for cow pasture, you'll find hundreds of thousands of acres of cow pasture.
Yeah.
Then you step outside and it goes back to being tiny again.
Are you talking about Goloka Vrindavan or?
It's still like that, but we don't know how to open the lotus petals.
Bhanu Prabhu was asking a clarification question. Bhanu Prabhu, can you ask again?
That is?
Were you talking about Goloka Vrindavan or?
No, Vrindavan, India, the Gokula. Gokula, not Goloka, but Gokula, which means the tri-quadrantal realm, as Bhaktisiddhanta puts it. Prabhupada Krishna lives originally in the uniquadrantal realm, but when he comes to earth, he never touches the earth. Krishna never comes in contact with the soil of the land. He is in a transcendental space that's separate. He may be in the three-dimensional world, but he is not himself subject to it. You see? He is for all intents and purposes, in actual Vrindavan. People say, well, what about Krishna came to earth? Well, in reality, Krishna didn't come to earth. Krishna is in Krishna Loka.
Can we say that
But he
Krishna,
sent that
Krishna Loka
ray
descended here?
with an incarnation of himself to do the pastimes in Gokula,
What were you
including
gonna
things that don't happen in Krishna Loka, like killing his uncle.
Can we say that Krishna Loka descended from the spiritual world to Vrindavan? Is that the right word to use when Krishna came? Or is it always eternally existing in Vrindavan right now? How can we
Well,
understand?
yes
that?
and no.
Yeah, that's
He
what I
came
thought.
down at he brought the Dwarpa Yuga was exchanged for the Treta Yuga, right? Dwarpa Yuga comes before Treta Yuga. There's Satya Yuga, Dwarpa Yuga, Treta Yuga, then Kali Yuga. But because Krishna came, he came in Dwarpa Yuga. I forget why, but there's a very powerful reason why. He came in Dwarpa Yuga.
Hmm.
And at the end during that time of Dwarpa Yuga, was he touching the earth of America, of India, or the earth, the planet Earth? No. He was like suspended. His pastimes were floating there. Do they still there? Yes. If you want to know the answer to that one, just try to understand what happens to people when they want to sneak in and witness Krishna's pastimes with the gopis dancing in the forests of Vrindavan. There's a place called Sevakunj. And there's a bathing tank of Lalita right outside of it. Then you go through the gate. And the same trees, the same bushes, the same that are nice and straight all over Vrindavan, because of their nature, their breed. In Sevakunj, they're all twisted into pretzels, and nobody does that. It's not like you have a gardener busy modifying the plants to make them twist. That's just the way they are. So sometimes people go in there, they want to see Krishna's pastimes,
Hmm.
which occur on the full moon. So they sneak in and then they lock the gate behind that person because they aren't aware that that person snuck in, hiding in the bushes. So what happens is the next day, when they open the gates of Sevakunj, the day after the full moon, the person that snuck in is found either dead, not killed, but dead, or completely insane. So does that tell us that Krishna is still there in Vrindavan? So he's doing his pastimes in the full moon with the gopis in Sevakunj, which is where he danced with the gopis before. But you can only imagine how big Sevakunj must have been when Krishna 5,000 years ago, compared to Sevakunj now, which is not even that huge a garden. But if you have the spiritual experience, it would probably open up just like the lotus. It's probably one of the lotus petals. It would open up and there you'd be in a gigantic, gorgeous forest, and there's gopis and cowherd boys and cows and everything like that there during the rasa dance. But we don't see that because we don't have the power to open the lotus petal.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So does that
Haribol,
answer
Mehdi
your question?
Prabhu, Haribol.
Manu, does that seriously answer your question? Krishna does not ever come and touch his feet on the earth of planet Earth or Vrindavan. But Vrindavan is transcendentalized. So when he comes in an expanded form, by the way, not in its completely original form, you can read on it, it's complicated. He comes down as an expansion of himself, but still himself has the expansion, but never touching earth. So what does he touch? If he's running in the fields of Vrindavan, then what is he touching? Well, inside the lotus petal where the cows and the grass would grow so much that it would come up to your shoulder height. And the cows were so hungry that they would mow it down. So you could always tell where the cows were because you just follow where the lawnmower seemed to have gone through the grass, and there you'll find all the 100,000 cows, 90,000 cows, 900,000 cows, whatever number of cows there chewing away at the grass. And the grass is growing as quickly as it can so it can be eaten again by the cows. Because after all, the grass are pure devotees. And they all want their pastime to be eaten by Krishna's cows. That is their bliss. That's their rasa. So in that rasa, the blades of grass are dying, not dying, but living to be eaten by Krishna's cows. Okay, so Bhaktisiddhanta explains it at the beginning of the Brahmasamhita between the uniquadrental realm and the triquadrental realm, and he gives the exact structure. I read it many years ago, and I've sort of forgotten that I don't have a copy of the Brahmasamhita right now in front of me. Is that okay, Banuji? Or is it perplexing?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so Matthew Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu, nice to see you, Prabhu. Haribol. And
Likewise.
Jai. And we're looking up cow protection in Prabhupada's letters in the Bhakti Vedanta Database, folio archives. So we're just reading. Cow protection comes up, let's see. It comes up 29 times in Srila Prabhupada's correspondence. And he had about.
Well, let's read all 29 if we can.
Yes. Prabhu Manjari Prabhu, go ahead. I highlighted the part where you can read, Prabhu,
Okay.
if you want, if you like.
But if you want to develop New Vrindavan, I can spare you for that purpose, and it may be that we can live there together. For the time being, if you actually want to develop such ideal ashrama, we must have sufficient land, and all other things will gradually grow. For raising crops from the land, how many men will be required? That we must estimate. And for herding the cows and feeding them, we must have sufficient pasturing ground to feed the animals all round. We have to maintain the animals throughout their life. We must not make any program for selling them to the slaughterhouses. That is the way of cow protection. Krishna, by his practical example, taught us to give all protection to the cows, and that should be the main business of New Vrindavan. Vrindavan is also known as Gokula. Go means cows, and Kula means congregation. Therefore, the special feature of New Vrindavan will be cow protection, and by doing so, we shall not be loser. In India, of course, a cow is protected, and the cow herdsmen, they derive sufficient profit by such protection. Cow dung is used as fuel. Cow dung dried in the sunshine, kept in stock for utilizing them as fuel in the villages. They get wheat and other cereals produced from the fields. There is milk and vegetables, and the fuel is cow dung, and thus they are self-independent in every village. There are hand weavers for the cloth, and the country oil mill, consisting of a bull walking in a circle round two big grinding stones attached with yoke, grinds the oil seeds into oil. The whole idea is that people residing in New Vrindavan may not have to search out work outside. Arrangements should be such that the residents should be self-satisfied. That will make an ideal ashrama. I do not know that these ideals can be given practical shape, but I think like that people may be happy in any place with land and cow without endeavoring for so-called amenities of modern life, which simply increase anxieties for maintenance and proper equipment. The less we are anxious for maintaining our body and soul together, the more we become favorable for advancing in Krishna consciousness.
Whoa, amazing. Krishna.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, this is stuff that we can use for the Desi Cow project. We can take this video out and be like, this is Prabhupada's vision and mission, how he wanted things set up.
Mhm.
So just as the temples, ISKCON temples, are still remarkably good examples of Kanista Adhikari around the world, in spite of so many things we can find that shouldn't have been done and could be improved right now. We can see the cow protection program is itself perhaps the highest form of Kanista Adhikari, because people are living according to their bodily needs, but they're taking care, dharmically taking care of the cows, grazing crops, offering everything to the deity, hopefully Lord Jagannath, in the temple. And the deity owns the land, owns everything. He even owns the clothes on your back, because he will give you the clothes. You don't have to buy them in this Varnashram system. Okay?
Right. So any,
The Prabhupada said that farming is the noblest of professions.
Yeah.
farming, wow. Noblest. Where did you read that, Matthew Prabhu? In Prabhupada's books, letters, or?
Yeah, I applied to the Bhagavat.
Oh, Light of the Bible.
And you said it elsewhere, I think.
Acha, wow. Wow.
The goal, obviously, is to not depend on others, not depend on a boss. You see, we're going to have Vaishyas who are raising cows, raising grains, pressing oil for cooking and for ghee for lamps. We're going to have all of that. So it's not necessary to go out and go to a corporation and sit there terrified that you're going to get fired from your job working in a cubicle for some big boss who's becoming a billionaire, while you can not even get past the middle class stage of life by your work, working
Right.
for him.
Yeah.
So if we do that, that is glorious. Otherwise, how are we going to? Create self-sufficiency if we don't farm? I mean, self-sufficiency, I mean, what does that mean? That we go out and we get government grants for our temples or something?
Mhm.
No, we have to make it. As Prabhupada said, make Vrindavan.
Right.
In New Vrindavan.
Matthew Prabhu, anything you want to say, Prabhu? Or Bhanu Prabhu? Or
Well, it does make me think of about how this is another purificatory process, other than just offering boga to Krishna, is to make the whole process an offering.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, from the cows, from the grains and vegetables, and directly from your hands to the land, to the cows, everything, everyone is working together, right?
Yeah, and knowing that as you go throughout your day, the honoring of prasadam, like everything you do is an honor to that prasadam, that like you get the energy from Krishna's mercy and carry out all these activities.
Yes, Matthew, just think about how multi-directional it is. I think you're hinting at that.
Yeah,
If we can go to the store and buy organic whole grains and bring them in home and grind them up in a grain mill and make chapatis. But that's just buy and then making chapatis. What we're talking about here is creating the breeds of grains by crossbreeding them, growing them, harvesting them ourselves, beating them out of the husks, taking the husks and using them as straw, and then offering everything to the deity. Can you imagine the sensation of sitting in the temple where most of the meals, I'm sure, would be eaten? Why not? It's where the good cooks are, as the Brahmins.
Mhm.
You sit in the temple taking the prasadam And you feel the entire organic process of that entire community flowing into your mouth, flowing into your stomach, flowing into your veins, flowing into your muscles, flowing into your brain, until you are becoming Atmarama, or
Right.
self-satisfied, because there's nothing that has to be compensated for. Everything is worthy because
cool.
you've done it with your own hands,
Yeah.
or collectively.
Yeah.
Shudras doing the work, the Vaishyas working out the technology of farming and supervising the farming endeavors, the Kshatriyas guarding the place to make sure nobody comes and destroys the all, and the Brahmins doing the cooking and the deity worship, making and distributing, gathering up all the clothes, the jewelry, and everything like that, created by everybody, and particularly the Vaishyas, and then distributing it out so that everybody has according to their need.
Right. Very cool.
Satnarayan Prabhu, can you get on video? If possible.
In a moment, why? Do you want to see what I look like?
No, speaking, yeah.
You might be surprised.
Yeah, this process of having your own cow and and back in Fiji when I was little, back in the 90s, my grandfather from my mom's side and my dad's side, they all had cows, but they were missing the culture of self-sufficiency and Krishna consciousness. So these things can be implemented. And we can see that now with the COVID-19, at least in Fiji, these people who are driving taxis and going to the cities for working, they are all handicapped. They have to go back to the land because they're not making any money. There's no food. Food is very expensive, so they're going back to the land and planting crops and grains, and then they're working from the land again. COVID.
Yeah.
That was how life was without factories, and there are no factories and no software
Right.
companies. There's no IT companies. Only farms, depending on farms and cows. That is the lifestyle.
Yeah, not too long ago. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Hare Krishna. Hare
Jai
Bol.
Mahaprabhu.
Haribol.
Hey,
Hare
Krishna.
Bol, Matthew.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Banu, Ramachandra. Hare Krishna Ra.
Haribol. What happened to
Rupa.
Narayan Prabhu? He just, I guess, got bad connection or something. Let's go back to this.
We've been talking about cow protection.
Yes.
Cow protection.
Yes.
We need to protect the cows.
Yes.
Each and every cow, or specific ones?
No, each and every cow.
Each and every one.
All cows.
What is the significance? What is the significance of the cow in Krishna consciousness?
Very good question.
She's your mother.
Hare Krishna.
Because we drink milk from the cow.
Okay.
Just milk, and we use the bull for agriculture, for plowing the ground, plowing the field. The bull is like the father. Cow
Oh,
dung is
yes.
used as manure.
Is the bull the ox, or is the ox the bull, or two different creatures?
The ox is a bull that's been castrated.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you, Rupa Manjari.
And
Wow.
oxen have been used all over, including outside of India, all over Europe, all over every country that had cows has bulls. And if you had so many bulls, then you make some of them into oxen, and then they pull the carts. The farmers
Wow.
use them to pull the carts. Perfectly natural.
I was able to experience that when I was in Haiti. Those
Really?
ox are tremendous animals, huge, scary.
They were ox or bulls?
They were ox.
What were they doing?
They were plowing, they were pulling, they were pushing, they were carrying, whatever needed to be done, they did it.
Yes,
Aye.
exactly.
Amazing.
Well,
Wow.
that you understand. That's what this Zoom meeting tonight is focused on is how do we do that and make it work for us city dwellers who are living in the cities mostly. How can we make that occur so that ultimately there will be thousands and thousands or even millions of communities that are farm communities? We shouldn't try to think that we're going to take over the whole country like all of the United States and turn it into a big Krishna conscious Varnashram society. That will happen naturally if we create 100,000, 20,000 acre cow communities, you know?
It's going to take a lot of permits and a lot of regulations to overcome.
It depends. If you watch the news, everyone is saying the country is coming to a crashing close, that our country is. It may be that you're not going to need that much stuff in the future.
Yeah.
And there is something I'd like to share with you, by the way, and that is the biggest farmland owner in the United States happens to be Bill Gates.
Wow, didn't know that.
He's been quietly buying up farmland everywhere.
Interesting.
He's got something up his sleeve, but then again, so do we.
Right. Try.
Oh, I'm getting a lot of Vashish photos on WhatsApp. You getting them as well?
Vashish photos?
I didn't notice him yet.
Let's keep it on cow protection today.
One thing about
Not Vashish, not Vashish protection, cow protection.
So,
Hare Krishna.
Ramachandra, I recommend that you put a posting or some sort of notice that if they're going to put a kirtan on the league for 10K, it should only be Prabhupada kirtan.
Yeah,
They
that's
don't
what
need
Bhanu.
a Yendra kirtan or any other type of
Yeah,
kirtan.
Bhanu Prabhu is only putting Prabhupada kirtan. That's the standard. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. You see, nicely done, Prabhupada kirtan. And we should not put up people with ideas that are different than ours, but rather we should put up our ideas and let people challenge them. Let people disagree with us. We welcome disagreement. Let them come and disagree. Then what? You see?
I'm
Are you ready
almost
to read
home.
the
I'll
next-
catch you in a bit.
All right, Bhanu, Mahaprabhu.
Thank
Are
you.
we ready for Rupa to read again?
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, and Rananda Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Right.
Hare Bol.
You know,
Hare
Andrew
Krishna.
Ananda, that picture that you put up, I'm always very tickled to see it because I'm the person that designed it and supervised every brushstroke of that picture.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned that at one point. Where was it painted at?
Yeah, in Los Angeles. We had an art department. We started out with 4 artists, basically, with a few extras thrown in here and there. And then I ended up with 15 artists, and they were painting a painting every 2 months or so. When I took over the directorship, we turned it into 15 artists painting one painting every month. And when the gurus took over, it was too much for them to handle, so they kicked me out.
What the? Do you remember around what period that was that you were
Yeah,
there?
that was 1980.
Okay, I see.
They kicked me out in 1980 for saying Rameshwar was not a pure devotee on the same level as Srila Prabhupada.
Even
Yeah,
though Srila Prabhupada put you in that position.
Yeah, they want to censor you for speaking the truth, and then later on, they come to the same conclusion. And then it's
Well-
okay for them to say it, for
Well,
him to
that's
step down
going
for
on,
himself.
you know, it's sort of like it was completely forbidden to say the coronavirus came out of a Wuhan laboratory
Yeah, exactly.
lab. And
Yes.
they would remove your postings from Facebook and Twitter
Yeah,
and everything like that if you dared to see it. Mine, it's just like the Inquisition. And then now that Fauci said it may have come from the lab, then now everybody's pouncing on all the stuff that they eliminated and saying,
Yeah.
yeah, it's okay. And we knew that all the time. So,
That's
So, but-
they're
yes.
like censoring anybody who even if what you're saying, what you're posting is scientific evidence, they'll
they don't
censor it.
care.
They censor
has
it
to
because
be-
it creates vaccine, what they call vaccine hesitancy.
Yeah.
People will
Well,
be hesitant to take the vaccine, you know, and
when you
What
have
did
the
you
Third
say?
Reich, you had the communist countries, you could get turned into the secret police for saying something that the government didn't want said.
yeah.
And that's what's happening here. It's just like the Iron Curtain countries from the 1940s, 50s, 60s, like that.
It becomes a vaccine. What,
But-
Andrew Dev, Prabhu?
It's
Huh?
called vaccine hesitancy. When people start to question this whole vaccine thing and they choose not to take the vaccine for that reason, they want to silence people who are providing even scientific evidence as to like how this is not safe. It's experimental.
There's two news
Got it.
information sources that I watch that do extensive interviews with scientists who have studied this, but of course can't say it anywhere or get published, but they say it
Right.
on these websites. Well, this is not our business tonight.
Yes, it's cow protection today, not vaccine protection.
Cow protection.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess really we should be the same mood that we have cow protection. We should also have that protection for the general, for human people, you know, that
Yes.
Oh yeah, well that's where we're
we should translate that same process to that
And the best
compassion
way
for
to do
people.
that
Well, yes.
is
in
engage
other
people
words, once we have everything perfect, if cow protection and Davavan Ashram and Istagosthi, where we speak not as a human being, but from the soul, leaving the human being somewhere on a couch in the living room watching TV or something, and then we come forward in Istagosthi and speak as we are from whom we are.
Okay.
We can speak directly. And if we do that, everything will work out beautifully. We listen to Prabhupada as he is, and then we recognize and speak as we are hearing him as he is. And if we do that, we can cut out decades of blah, 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 blah that happened. Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said that to this person. Go for the main points. What did he want? It doesn't matter as much what he said, it matters what did he want.
Yeah.
And that he said what he wanted. But he had to keep on explaining to people that basically didn't want to do it. That's why he had to explain. Kanistadakaris. They wanted to.
Like
You couldn't even force them to accept his views.
if you're on a diet of cow milk and cow ghee and you won't even get corona. You won't even get corona. You don't need the vaccine. If you're living in harmony with cow products, living off the farm.
I have no intention of getting vaccinated.
Okay. Bhanu Prabhu was saying if you live with the cows and drink the cow's milk and then what else did he say?
Cow ghee.
Cow products, you won't even get any virus.
No, because our bodies, particularly after 2 or 3, 4 generations living like that in Varnashram Dharma, we're thinking about ourselves. But what about our great grandchildren? Those people will have such finely tuned immune systems at birth that they probably will never get sick from the common cold.
Right.
Well, ideally, but because of this quote unquote vaccine injection, it could be altering people's very genome, so
Well, we'll alter it back again.
yeah, that the idea is if we become transcendental, even if our body we're just in a transcendental mode where we're protected by Krishna. The vaccine,
it's a nice idea.
virus
It's a
won't.
nice thing. Like it's raining, put up an umbrella, and you won't get as wet as if you didn't have an umbrella. But what we're talking about is maybe how about 200 or 300 years from now, with Daivavan Ashram firmly established as the solution for human society, not jobs, not driving an Uber car or something like that, but no, Varnashram, what Rupa Manjari and Ramachandra and Ronald Tim are working on. And when that Varnashram system is up and running, You will have people that are very, very protected by nature's own arrangement. Right? So is
Yeah.
Rupa going to read some more?
Yes, yes, this is this is still in New Vrindavan, Prabhupada visiting. Rupa Manjari Prabhu?
Okay,
Do you have
Um,
in 1968?
Yes,
yes.
I don't think Prabhupada was in Vrindavan in 1968, was he?
September 7th.
September 7th, 1968.
September 7th?
Yeah,
No, in September 7th, he was in Montreal. Then he came to Los Angeles and initiated me. And it's I don't think Prabhupada went to New Vrindavan before. They didn't even have New Vrindavan there, I don't think.
I'm here.
1969, Prabhupada came. I went there before Prabhupada did. And then I was there when he arrived for the first time. Spring.
Oh.
I went there in like January,
Yeah,
February of 1969.
I think this is
He
a
came
letter.
and he was there for a month or so in April,
I don't
maybe
say
March and
anywhere
April.
that Srila Prabhupada is in New Vrindavan here.
Well,
He's
that's
saying that he
interesting.
does-
Maybe they have the date wrong.
Let's
He's
see.
saying that
The last date was 6/14/1968. So here Srila
Well,
Prabhupada
he was writing to them.
yeah, he
So
was
when
writing.
did he actually arrive there?
He's saying right here. Prabhupada
he
is
said
saying,
that he was there for
Okay,
2 days
let's go
earlier.
with it.
He was there
But
2 days.
this is my period of time that I'm aware of, and this is very surprising. So let's see what is said, and I'll be able to determine what happened because I was there.
okay, Rupa Manjari Prabhu.
I have just returned from a 2-day stay at our newest center, New Vrindavan in Moundsville, West Virginia, near Wheeling. This New Vrindavan is under the direction of Sriman Hayagriva and Kirtanananda Maharaj and promises to be a great step forward for Krishna consciousness in America. It has a farmhouse and several other structures, well, streams, hills, Govardhan as named by Swamiji, pasture grounds, a cow that will be acquired soon, ghat, pond, woodland, all situated on 138 acres.
Wait 1 second. He said, I have just returned for 2 days in New Vrindavan. Then he says it was named by Swamiji. That's before they called him Prabhupada. We called him
Scroll
Prabhupada.
down,
So who's
Ramachandras.
writing this? Approved.
It says
A.C.
AC Bhaktivedanta Swami.
Approved. Approved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not written by.
Prabhupada has requested that 7 temples be established there. Its main activity will be cow protection and to show the world that simply by living with cows and land and chanting Hare Krishna, a perfect society will prevail. A great deal of work is required, and Swamiji has requested at least 4 devotees to go there immediately. New Vrindavan lacks so-called necessities as hot running water and toilets, so that only stout and sturdy devotees are needed, especially those with carpentry experience and can do manual labor. New Vrindavan will be especially attractive to householders who want to raise their children in full Krishna consciousness. So all devotees who are interested in living in New Vrindavan either immediately or in the near future should please contact me. Those with carpentry experience should especially do so. Approved A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami.
Oh,
Approved Krishnananda Swami. Approved Brahmananda Das Brahmachari.
so
Okay. So I was one of those 2 people that went there for 2 days. One of the 3 people that went there for 2 days. That's mentioned in this letter. Prabhupada did not go there.
okay.
There's nothing to indicate that he did.
Said that he was there.
He said, I have just returned. Whoever wrote this letter, probably Brahmananda. Huh?
Who is it?
Someone is speaking.
Shanavi. Mataji.
I know the Vaikuntanaths went and a couple of other devotees went. I don't recall Brahmananda going there. He probably wouldn't because he always stayed in New York.
It
So
says
you
it's
see-
signed. It says it's signed by Brahmananda Das Brahmachari, whereas the other 2 are just approved.
Isn't there some
Prabhupada.
more, anything under there too? Nothing. Oh, this is another. It's hard to say,
Yeah.
But-
What is it at the top of the page?
I don't know if Brahmananda went there at that time. What is the date again?
September
September.
7th, 1968.
September 7th, 1968?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wasn't there. I didn't go until December, after my birthday,
Okay. Yeah.
on the 20th of December. Okay, I don't want to confuse everybody. Yeah, so evidently somebody went there in
Right.
September,
Right.
but Prabhupada was not the person that was not there. He was in Montreal, then he went from Montreal, as far as I know, straight to Los Angeles, to San Francisco.
Okay. Wow.
What is the context of presenting this letter? I'm curious.
Oh, we're looking up cow protection in Prabhupada's letters.
Okay.
So all the 3 letters we have read so far is referring to New Vrindavan and cow protection.
Yeah, well, there was nothing else to refer to
Right.
at that time. We only had city storefronts in cities as temples.
Should we go to the next letter?
Yes. Let's go to the
That's
next
before
letter.
we moved on to funeral parlors.
Okay.
Boston, and then later San Francisco and a bunch of other places. Okay, let's keep going.
All right. Rupa Manjari Prabhu, or someone else wants to read?
No,
Someone else can
should
read.
do it.
Huh?
I like it when you read, because Rupa, you read so clearly.
Yes.
Okay.
Here's the title.
Letter to Sumati Morarji,
Oh, yes. That's,
1969.
to Savati Maraji. She's the one who owns India's shipping lines and gave Prabhupada very reluctantly gave Prabhupada a room to go across to America in the owner's cabin.
All right.
Okay. Let's see.
The boat was not
International.
a passenger, but 1 second. The boat was not a passenger boat. It was a freighter. So the captain had captain's cabin, the officers had, then the regular crew members just sort of like lived in simple barracks like they would on any ordinary boat. And then there was the owner's cabin, which meant it was very nicely set up. And that's how Prabhupada came across. And then in 1973, I came across in the owner's cabin on the Jala Rajan instead of the Jala Duta, sister ship of the Jala Duta. So go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to start in the middle.
Yeah.
From Bhagavad Gita, we understand that the Vaishya community is specially responsible for giving protection to the cows as much as the Kshatriya kings are responsible for giving protection to the citizens of the state. As such, if you can organize, and I believe you can do so because by grace of Krishna, you are in good position amongst the mercantile community, big dairy farms with large pasturing grounds, then the problem of milk supply and cow protection will automatically be done. I do not know how much you will appreciate this suggestion, but if you can do such organization, it will be a great service to the country and to the animals, and to this cause of Krishna consciousness. If you be serious on this point, then I can help you with all of my possible energies.
Hmm.
That's rather a breakthrough, isn't it? From sitting in a storefront said matchless gifts and having a bunch of hippies from the East Village come over and listen to what the Swami has to say. From there to getting cow protection and creating the idea of Varnashram Dharma is just it is dimensions beyond sitting in a storefront or going to a park. So keep going.
This part is pretty interesting. Let me read this from the starting. International Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals in London. Also try to see if there is any similar society here. But one thing I can suggest, as you have asked me to give a thought to this problem, that Goseva, according to the Vedic injunction, is specifically entrusted to the mercantile community. Of course, during the Hindu government in India, the kings were mostly Vaishnavas like Maharaj Parikshit and at once caught the black man, Kali, who was attempting to kill a cow. But those days are no more. Neither there is a king like Maharaj Parikshit, nor the present government of India is inclined to give protection to the cows. But the mercantile community, especially the Gujaratis and the Marwaris, are undoubtedly rich in India. And I do not know why such mercantile communities do not open large-scale dairy farms. That will certainly give actual protection for the cows. This is pretty interesting, huh? How Prabhupada,
Yeah.
the Gujaratis and the Marwaris being rich, why aren't they not protecting cows? Huh?
Because of the British, obviously.
Mhm.
The British decimated the Vedic culture like to a great extent. Like, you know, the textile industry, it turned into factory farm, you know, like not factory farms, but factory and like industrial complex, and that guided everybody away from Varnashram Dharma, which is what Gandhi had desired that they return to, doing the traditional Varnashram. But instead of doing that, there's an industrial complex, and
Gandhi
now
in
there's
a very
all kinds of poverty
ineffective and
and suffering.
unauthorized way.
Yeah, there's
No.
now all types of poverty and suffering going on because of that. But yeah, this is an interesting
Right.
account
Very
here.
interesting. You see, this sort of early instructions by Prabhupada is what the League for 10K should be pouncing on, because practically speaking, after this time, all the communication was Prabhupada fending off, like a fencer fending off the other person with a sword, fending off all sorts of concoctions and disobediences, whereas we want to see what did he want. So if we find out what Prabhupada wanted, that should be our directive.
Very glad
What
that
did he
you
want?
have
And
discovered
go ahead.
with the aims and objects of imparting educational as well as cultural transitions.
Yes, please keep reading. Yes, go ahead. Please read.
She's commenting on our talk
Oh, yes.
statement.
What
Mother.
happened?
Do you want me to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Oh, okay. Regarding your foundation, I am very glad that you have registered the Sumati Morarji Foundation with the aims and objects of imparting educational as well as cultural training to younger generations. But in this line of activities also, I will suggest that you should impart transcendental training for their becoming Krishna conscious on the basis of the principles of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra, and alloyed literatures, as I'm trying to do here. You will be surprised to know that my humble service in this country is being highly appreciated by the younger section of the society of the country. So if the younger section of all countries combine together on this cultural training of Krishna consciousness, there will be great change on the present situation of the world. Music and dance and distribution of prasadam are the main items of my Krishna consciousness propagation, and they are acting so nicely. Perhaps you know that I am organizing here a community center in West Virginia on a land of about 200 acres, and it will be a replica of Vrindavan. So it is my ambition, as foretold by Lord Chaitanya, that the people of the world will be happy under the banner of Krishna consciousness. And let us try our best for this greatest philosophy of life. Of course, medical and other relief work to the distressed persons are not objectionable items, but actually the people of the whole world are suffering on account of lacking in Krishna consciousness. Anyway, I am trying, practically struggling single-handedly in this great endeavor, and my financial strength is practically zero. And I think you have got sufficient knowledge about that. but if your newly founded institution cooperates with me, it will be a great success. So far, a donation to this foundation, naturally, I shall be inclined to donate in kind. I have already printed my following books, Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam, Easy Journey to Other Planets, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya,
and so on.
and so on, as well as our Back to God format.
As well as our Back to Godhead magazine.
And I shall be glad to donate free as many copies as your foundation may require from me.
मुझे भी पढ़ना, मुझे भी मौका दो पढ़ने का.
So Prabhupada is writing this like 3 years after Sumati Maharaj reluctantly let him get on her boat.
Okay, so we've
Look how many books he was able to publish,
Yeah.
and not without any help from rich people. It just came about. It wasn't based on some wealthy patron taking Prabhupada under his wing. It came up out of this grassroots. And that's what we want also for League for 10K, grassroots movement.
Right.
We want people to join this movement for their own sake, not to do something for somebody else.
Right.
Our movement has become so involved in trying to either be greedy or altruistic without seeing what the mission is to be accomplished. And Prabhupada is making it so clear here to Sumati Maharaji, who she was a big protectress of Gandhi, you know. He's come and stayed with her in Gandhigram, which is where the Juhu temple is right now, in Gandhigram. He stayed there after he was fasting at the Aja Khan in
Andhra Pradesh.
The Khan where he stayed fasting in Pune. That's now called Pune. North of Bombay in the mountains. When he came back, he'd fasted for like 40 days without eating. So he had to be nursed carefully back to health.
All right, so
So what
getting.
happened to
Can I
the
read
rest?
some paragraphs?
Yes, you want to read it? Yes, sure.
टाइम खराब दिख रहा है हैं? क्या करा दूं हैं?
Is that Shreya who's talking?
Okay, I'm
Can
gonna
I
read.
read some? Can I
Yeah.
read?
Okay, you
There's
want
some
to read
strange
that?
people that get on here.
Yeah, I'm removing people because we're getting all kinds of crazy people now.
What, me?
Not you.
No. People joined.
I'm a crazy
And,
person, aren't I? You mean somebody's trying to be crazier than me? Let them try.
Okay. Yes, Priyanshi Prabhu, you wanted to read. Go ahead. You wanted to make a point?
Regarding your foundation, I'm very glad that you have registered the Sumati Moraji Foundation with the
We
aims
already
and
read this. We already read this.
Yes, we have read this already. So,
So what do you want to, why not highlight what you want, where you wanted to start?
we have read it already, Prabhu.
Oh, the whole
So-
thing? Well, let's get the next one.
Yes, you can read the next one, Priyanshi Prabhu. There you go. You can read this part right here.
Is this Shreya who's up there or somebody else?
Someone else.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing. Who?
It's Priyanshi Prabhu.
What part of India?
Um,
I'm glad
Where?
that your parents are interested in Bhagavad Gita and Lord Krishna, and when you return to India, you make them understand Krishna philosophy very nicely. I am also pleased to learn that when you marry, you will marry a girl who is a worshipper of Lord Krishna and who agrees to follow the 4 basic principles strictly. I am so pleased to learn that you have appreciated our Ataric song, Kiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandra. You have voluntarily offered to do something when you return to India, and best project will be to work there as representative of this Krishna consciousness movement. In my opinion, India is going down by giving up this original cultural life, which is its own. The government is enamored by the glittering civilization of the West, and it was a definite policy of our late Prime Minister Mr. Nehru, who wanted to see India overnight as rich and materially advanced as America. It was, of course, Gandhi's policy to concentrate his organization in village life, taking to simple life and cow protection.
Could I ask who that's written to?
This is written to Gopal Krishna, New
But-
Vrindavan, 1969.
Oh,
There it is.
Gopal Krishna in New Vrindavan?
Yes.
that's the devotee.
It's the same Gopal Krishna who's a guru in India, right?
Yes, that's the same Gopal Krishna. All right.
I didn't know. And what is the year?
1969, June 5th, 1969.
Oh, June.
Yes.
Was Prabhupada in New Vrindavan? Or that's who's writing to, is Prabhupada writing to Gopal Krishna?
Let's go down and see who signed the letter. Yes, Prabhupada, you ever well-wisher? AC
Yeah.
Bhaktivedanta.
And where was Prabhupada when he wrote the letter?
Okay, let's see. Let's go up. Whatever this means, letter to Gopal Krishna, New Vrindavan, June 5th, 1969. See it here?
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean, when Prabhupada wrote, he wrote on his own letterhead.
Yeah.
And one of the things that completely thrilled me to pieces was when he put down the location, it said camp with a colon after it.
Camp.
And he would say New York or New Vrindavan, like, Camp New Vrindavan, Camp Montreal. And I said, yes, this is my desire. When I just joined him, I said, yes, this is my desire. Camp. That means we're at war against Maya. Let's win this war against Maya.
Jai.
Yeah, Johnny. So we're not quite sure, but what has that got to do with cow protection, I should ask?
Well,
Is there another mention of cow protection?
yes, right here.
Oh, just the word cow protection shows
Yes.
up.
Prabhupada is
Got it.
commenting, it was, of course, Gandhi's policy to concentrate his organization in village life, taking to simple life and cow protection. That was Prabhupada saying it was Gandhi's
That
policy.
was one of the few nice things that Prabhupada ever said about Gandhi.
Yes.
Just completed. Ready.
Okay. You want to read the whole thing? Bhanu Prabhu?
Is there any reason to read the rest of it? Or should we go on to something more directly?
Okay. Let's move on then to a next cow protection.
I would say so.
Let's go.
I
Okay.
mean, something with more than one word.
Yeah.
One mention.
Okay. Now we're back to New Vrindavan. So let's read this. Can someone read this? Who wants to read? Let me highlight it and
Maybe you can search New Vrindavan and cow protection while you search it.
Okay.
Well, we should have somebody who speaks really simply clear. I nominate Rupa Manjari unless somebody else wants to read.
Andrew, what's his name? Matthew Prabhu has very
I'll
good
read.
English. Yes, Matthew Prabhu, go ahead.
Regarding the rumor about New Vrindavan closing, do not try to divert your attention to all these rumors. Rumor is rumor. When New Vrindavan, by the wish of Krishna, is started, let us go on with the business. I can understand why the rumor was broadcast. There was some discussion when I was in San Francisco with Tamal about the protection of cows. Our main function in New Vrindavan is to give protection to the cows. But there was discussion about the difficulties of keeping cows in New Vrindavan because for the winter season, they have to be locked up and fed extraneously. Actually, cow protection is easier when they have simply pasturing ground and we have no botheration for their upkeep. But because in the winter season, we have to lock them up and feed them by spending, is that not a problem? Of course, for the small number that are there now, that is not a problem. But when we have 50 or 100 cows, as we expect to have that number, then what is the solution? These points were discussed. I think it has taken a different form by rumor. Anyway, this is also a practical point to have to consider. But in spite of all difficulties, when we have started, we have to go on improving it as far as possible. New Vrindavan is already established. It cannot be closed. Rest assured, I am so glad to learn that you have planned to build a special accommodation for me. And next summer, if Krishna desires, I must go there. I always remember the fresh milk, fresh vegetables, and daily ground wheat flour. They're all very, very nice. Now, Kirtanananda Maharaj is also doing very nicely. The whole problem will be solved when we get more men to live there. With sufficient manpower, there will be no problem, even for the cows. So make some living houses so people may live there comfortably. Now you should give stress on developing the school. That is important. If Shama Dasi can better take up schooling, it is very good that she be relieved from composing work.
This is interesting because Prabhupada is saying that there should be sufficient pasture land for the cows, so they can
Graze.
graze. Yes, and you don't have.
Otherwise, what they do is you build a big silo and fill it with chopped up corn stalks, green corn stalks, or you have to bring in bales of hay, and that's all very expensive.
Yes,
To feed
yes,
the
very-
cows in the winter. I've been through it. Now, what is the date of that letter?
It's December 25th, 1969.
Okay, so that was after Prabhupada was there. He was there, I know he was there in April 19th or something. He was undoubtedly there before that, maybe March and April, and maybe a bit in May. So this is what month you say again?
Krishnamas Day.
What date? What date?
Krishnamas Day, 25th of December.
Christmas Day. Christmas Day.
You're making it Krishna's day.
Christmas Day.
Wait. This letter was written on December 25th.
Yes,
गंजे
What year?
1969.
गोली मार दूं मैं तेरा गंजे भूत
Can you remove that person, whoever that is?
Mute him.
Yeah, me too.
He is using slangs. Shaki, Shikara.
Okay,
So
now
so December 1969. And does it say where he was when he wrote it?
let me check 1 second.
These are all extremely important factors, particularly if I'm in this conversation, because this is the period of time I was very much involved with that place.
It's saying letter to Hayagriva, 25th December 1969, 7 Bury Place, London, England.
Oh, he was in England,
Yes,
in Bury Place.
yes. Haribol, let's see. So there you go. Prabhupada is outlining the whole thing of cow protection and how to take care of the cows. There must be sufficient land for the cows to graze. You shouldn't be buying, grains and this and that. So
So that's 1969 Bury Place.
Yes.
In December.
yes,
So it was basically a year after the time when he was in New York, and then after that went to Vrindavan.
yes.
Got it.
So we're getting a lot of visitors coming in and out. So what I'll do is I'll make sure our people are unmuted and they cannot unmute themselves. So our devotees here, they can unmute themselves, and then I'll put
Can
an
I-
option.
I want to read.
You want to read? Okay. All right.
Okay.
1 second.
What's the next one?
Let's see.
Try to be sure that they're pretty much to the point,
Okay. Let's see.
That was to
Okay,
the
here.
point, actually.
Yeah,
by
this one
talking
is-
about problems.
This one is very nice. You can read this one. Well, all right.
Where did she say she was, Ramachandra?
Who?
New
The
devotee.
ladies.
Yes, she just joined. She wants to read.
Yeah.
Krishna
Yeah, so
servant.
where is she from?
Where
Let
are
her
you from,
introduce
Krishna
herself.
servant? Where are you from?
Mumbai.
Mumbai. Okay. Jai.
Mumbai?
Yeah.
Which part?
What?
Which part of Mumbai?
What are you?
Can you ask Ramachandra?
What are you saying?
He said, what
Are you
part of
from
Bombay
Juhu
are
or
you
you
from?
from-
What part of Bombay are you from?
Andheri West.
Oh, Andheri. Okay.
Yeah.
In the Central
Can I read?
Railroad line.
Yes, you can read.
Central
Go ahead.
Railway.
Please read.
Yeah.
Yes, this highlighted
Share the
part you can
screen.
read.
You didn't share the
Okay.
screen.
Okay, 1 second. Let me share the screen. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. There you
This
go.
is very interesting. A great idea, Ramachandra.
So
Okay.
these okay, I will start. So these person are all less than Sudras, but Smart Bhagwan Ram says even they under the guidance of a pure devotee can also be raised up the highest standard more than the Brahmas. If somebody questions how it is possible, how the most degraded of the human society be more than a Brahma, that is all come from
Brahmana.
in Vedic language that it does not matter if one is born of low grade family or Candals. If he is a devotee of the Lord, he is first class man. There are other statements that a man after becoming a devotee become immediately qualified to execute sacrificial ceremonies. In the connection, Ziva Goswami has given his commentation that a person born even in Brahma family is dependent on the purificatory process and accepting initiation and sacred trade, but a devotee without waiting for such a condition becomes fit to act as a Brahma. And this is a statement of Narada Muni. Narada Muni, in the verse, this means, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there are different symptoms of different classes of men, just like a Brahma is trifle, clean, self-controlled, equipoised, tolerant, spirited, charitable, does not flee away from the battlefield, and so on. Similarly, the symptom of Vaishya in his tendency to agriculture trade, cow protection, and banking, and the Sudra's tendency it to some way or other work anywhere and get some wages.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Excellent.
Hey, Ramachandra, could you go over that and sort of give an overview of what Prabhupada is saying and
Oh,
why?
Jai. Okay. Who wants to?
No, you do it. Wait, I found it very hard to follow what Prabhupada was basically saying.
Okay. Then
So
another
why
person.
don't you go? Why don't you give a condensed version of the main points that he was coming up
Shall
with?
I read again?
Yes, Bhanu Prabhu, please read again.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
So these persons are all less than Shudras, but Srimad Bhagavatam says even they under the guidance of a pure devotee can also be raised to the highest standard more than the Brahmanas. If somebody
No,
questions
who-
how it is
Who
possible,
is Prabhupada writing to?
This is to Janardana, Los Angeles, January 16,
Okay.
1970.
And I didn't think we need to read it again. I just wanted you, Ramachandra, to go through it and state what Prabhupada's points are and what he was making them for. Why
Oh,
was
okay.
he saying these things?
Yeah, here Prabhupada is saying that he's talking about the Shudras or the people lower than Shudras under
Where?
here in this paragraph, in this letter.
No,
right
no,
here.
but where are these Shudras?
Well,
What
Prabhupada,
country?
oh, he's talking about the different names of the non-Aryans or Chandalas, or less than Shudras. So he's talking about a verse, and then he's giving his
And
insight.
what is the verse?
This is
what-
from Srimad Bhagavatam 2:418.
Well, why are we reading the purport without reading his commentary without reading the verse?
No, actually, we were looking for cow protection, and the cow protection came up in this letter. So we're just
Just
reading.
one word.
Huh?
Just one word.
Yeah, just
Right?
one word came up.
No,
Then
no, we
Prab-
don't want to do. This is not
Then
a good idea.
Prabhupada, yes, then Prabhupada says about cow protection and the Vaishyas who are in charge of agriculture, trade, and cow protection and banking. So he's going over the three varnas, and
Yeah, what we want to do is concentrate on cow protection for ISKCON, not one word of cow protection in when he's talking about something else.
okay, let's go to the next. Let's
So when you choose the next paragraph, why not the next letter? Why not look at it and make sure it discusses cow protection?
protection is about West Virginia. For example, here in this one paragraph, Prabhupada says, let me read, highlight.
So just read the parts that pertain to cow protection.
Uh,
Otherwise, we're just going to be going nowhere fast.
Okay, let's see. It's saying this site situated in the midst of the beautiful West Virginia mountains provides an ideal setting for demonstrating the simplicity of naturalistic living based on Brahminical culture and cow protection in Krishna consciousness. Cow protection practically solved the problems of sustenance and the greater portion of time of the devotees being not engaged in frantic scramble of materialistic competition for food and shelter is kept engaged in the pursuit of spiritual perfection.
You say that's good. That's useful. It's conceptual.
Yeah.
It gives us a sense of why we want cow protection.
Right. Okay.
But we don't want just cow protection. Cow protection is one aspect of Daiva Van Ashram. We want varnas, 4 cats, as they say, or 4 varnas, and ashramas, 4 ashramas, such as we know. So we need to, if it says varnashram, we have to understand that those other elements are the core of it, not simply a detail of it.
Okay, who wants to read this? This is
Now, make sure that it talks entirely about Prabhupada's ideals for cow protection. It doesn't just mention it once.
okay. Who wants to read?
Well, are you sure that it deals entirely with cow protection?
Well, it's talking about, so you say that your land is very suitable for cow protection and for Tulsi to grow. Then Krishna is giving you the opportunity to develop this program. He says, protect some cows, grow crops, and if possible, provide fresh milk and butter for the temple nearby. And the rest of the time, chant Hare Krishna and read my books. In this way, you can live very peacefully without any disturbances from anyone.
Yeah. Basically, this is very conceptual, very beginning, very primitive, with people that have just come back into the movement after betraying Prabhupada. So that's
Yeah,
fine.
I think
I don't think you should read whole paragraphs or whole quotes around one reference to cow protection. Find the core of the issue and bring it out. If it isn't there, don't bring it up at all.
I think we have covered it now. So let's.
You said you had 45 references.
No, 29. 29.
Or 29. We've
Yeah.
already dealt with maybe 4, right?
No, we've dealt with more than 4.
Well, okay. How many are left?
Let's see. We're at 19 out of 29. So
Okay, but let's not spend time. Otherwise, we're simply going to dilute ourselves and get confused.
okay, about saying cow protection is the business of the Vaishyas, and along with our preaching, that is the most important work. We must have a good section of Brahmanas in our society, and we must also have a good group of Vaishyas who can grow grains and tend cows, and thus supply the society with food grains and milk products from the cows like ghee, curd, cream, etc. So that's interesting. He's talking about cow protection and the Vaishyas and preaching and Brahmanas and growing and tending cows.
Yeah.
All right.
This
So
is
I think
good.
we're pretty much done.
And maybe what to look for is not so much cow protection, but Daiva Van Ashram.
Yeah. Cow protection.
Because Daiva Van Ashram is what we're doing. When Prabhupada was dealing with New Vrindavan, they didn't get anywhere with that. We had one cow, and they didn't even want to plant a garden. There was a bunch of very creepy people.
Now, this is pretty interesting.
bunch of
The thing
homosexuals.
is, cow protection is not possible for women. You can keep 2 or 3 cows, but on a larger scale, it is not possible. You should not try to take care of more. It is not a woman's business. Woman's business is getting milk and making milk preparations. On the whole larger scale, it is not to be attempted by women. Manage a small ashram, but don't try bigger scale. Then you require the help of men. This is interesting.
Well, yeah, but right now we're doing this in a very conceptual way, like Rupa Manjari is doing it, and she's not approaching it as a woman with a cow. She's approaching it as creating a program for cows.
Yeah, this is to Yamuna, I guess, when she separated from Guru Das, and she was asking Prabhupada what she should do, and in this way,
Yes.
Prabhupada replied in that context.
But there was a lady that used to be at New Vrindavan, Labanga Latik. I don't know if you ever saw any tape recordings of Prabhupada talking about Mr. DDD, whose name was Dwarkadish.
Yeah, I know him. I've
but-
talked to him before. Yes.
Oh, you've met him?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
he went to the college up in Eureka.
Yeah.
And I knew him when he was just a little kid, 6 years old, 5 years old. And Prabhupada sort of made him the center of his aura,
Yes.
He surrounded him with his causeless mercy. But Labanga Latik, being his mother, ended up in India, and she, as far as I know, without a husband, but with certain servants, I know where she got the money.
She married an Indian
Yeah.
husband.
She did?
Yeah.
Labanga Latik did? Okay,
Yes.
so how many cows did she have?
I think he was saying 50 cows.
50 cows. Was her husband also doing cows?
I don't know, but she did marry someone, and I guess they were taking care of the cows together. But she was doing most of the work, though.
Yeah, so you can see, ideally, Prabhupada is talking ideally from
Right.
a position where no ISKCON devotees ever even touched a cow.
Yeah.
And he's advising Jamuna not to go hog wild in some area which she can't succeed at.
Right. Practical stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
But
Jamuna was a
DDD.
very important person, but she also became a sort of a risky person somewhere down the line. She
Was she trying
to
to do it all by herself?
Yes. Women's ashram.
All by
Jamuna
herself.
was
I'm saying. Only.
Jamuna was trying to commit suicide, and Prabhupada sent out a general warning to all the devotees to be careful. He said, someone who will kill themselves can also kill others.
Hmm.
And he put that out specifically about Jamuna.
Wow. I
But
didn't know
later
that.
on, Jamuna and her partner, whatever that means, went to Saranagati and built a fantastic Vastu-styled house out of adobe. It was really wonderful, and they did extraordinary deity worship there. They had my building. I own a building next to her building, her 10-acre property in Saranagati, next to hers, and near right, and on the way to her place is what's her name? Vishaka, Yadavar and Vishaka's place,
Hmm.
where they didn't do anything, just live there. But she had it all set up, just everything Vastu down to the last. Vastu means everything is exactly placed according to the cosmology of the land you're on, the house you build, the rooms in the house, everything is to be exactly determined by astrology. And she did, and it was a fantastic place. Her friend was Dina Tarani.
Yeah, that's her. Dina Tarani.
Yeah.
Prabhupada mentions that letter to these two
But
devotees.
Dina Tarani wrote or is writing a biography of Jumana.
Acha. Uh-huh. Yes.
I don't know if she ever completed it or what, but she did. But this is not our business. You see, all these wonderful people doing all these wonderful things. That's very nice. We applaud. That's not our business. Our business is to, for the League for 10K at least, is to put together the jiva, the purified, never mind purified, the intentional jiva with the orders of Prabhupada to create the result that he created ISKCON to produce.
Hmm.
And it wasn't so that people would turn into rhythmics after poisoning him. Right? Has, and his vision is going to go ahead. The trouble is, just like they poisoned him before he finished the Srimad Bhagavatam, this Krishna consciousness movement can have a 10% of the population effect or 100% of the population effect. Why not? You see? So it is up to us to put together the clarity of the purpose that Prabhupada had in creating ISKCON, how he did it, why he did it, why he initiated, who he initiated, how he created a climate of Kanistha Adhikaris that, if followed nicely, is sublime, it can't be beat, but then with an opportunity to go further, for an opportunity to go all the way to Uttama Adhikari, within the context of ISKCON. That the ISKCON is, Kanistha Adhikari means horizontal. People are all doing, what did you say? What did I say? What did they say? Blah, blah, blah. What did he do? What are we doing? What is this about? That's all bodily conscious on the horizontal level, practically gossipy. But yet it's in Krishna consciousness. So instead of saying, well, did he go to the bar and get some booze? No, he said, did he go to the flowers, get the flowers and make the deity garland? But it's the same sort of conversation, horizontal, right? Horizontal conversation. So our goal is to recognize horizontal is wonderful, but there's more to it than that. There's more to it than horizontal. There's vertical. That's Uttama Adhikari. And there's the approach to Uttama Adhikari, which is the beginning of verticality, called Madhyama Adhikari. When we get
The
those
Madhyama
things
Adhikari doesn't
aligned,
have any conversation, would he?
Huh?
He would be, the Madhyama Adhikari won't be having any conversations with others. He would be fixed up in his own, trying to establish.
But where will he come from? He has to come from the Kanistha Adhikari people, the crowd. He comes, if you have 100,000 Kanistha Adhikaris, if you get 10 Madhyama Adhikaris, they're coming out of that crowd. They advance, like Banu, you become a perfect Kanistha Adhikari, then maybe you say, I want to go further. I want to know what my rasa with Krishna is. And so you begin to, you can't just spy on Krishna to find out what is your rasa. You can't use a telescope like the Hubble telescope. You have to participate. The jiva is part of Krishna, part and parcel. You are jiva. If you're a body, then you're happy being a body. Go for it. But if you're a jiva, you're a vertical part and parcel of Krishna, aside from the body, independent of the body. So when you separate from the body and develop guidance by Paramatma to pure devotional service to Krishna, to please him personally in Krishna Loka, then there is the possibility for the Madhyama Adhikari to advance to perfectional stage. That is good. Now, if a person just really wants to die and go back to Godhead, go for it. You'll probably be a grain of sand in Shantarasa, because Shantarasa means inactive, passive relationship to Krishna. Of course, the jivas that are in Shantarasa are quite satisfied to be there as grains of sand. But that's quite not the same as being a cowherd boy with Krishna, or Mother Yasoda with Krishna, or a person that is friends with Krishna. There's so many ways of being in relationship with Krishna other than being stepped on by Krishna as a piece of sand on the ground. So if you want to be sand, that's fine. There's lots of sand in Krishna Loka, and they're all called Shanta Rasa, or passive Rasa with Krishna. So I went back to Godhead. I'm there. Okay. I didn't have to become a Madhimadikari. I didn't have to become an Uttamadikari. I just did it by dying, and I went back to Godhead. That's a great.
Isn't the grain of sand in Goloka also an Paramahamsa?
Of course. But he doesn't have an active relationship with Krishna. It's passive. Now, if you prefer a passive relationship with Krishna, personally, I don't care about myself. Let Krishna play with gopis. Let me stay here and serve him. That's my role. Follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. I will follow as long as I see his footsteps. I'll follow his footsteps. It doesn't have to be in Krishna Loka. It doesn't have to be in any particular planet. It could be Earth. It could be Mars. It could be anywhere. I don't care. Just for his footsteps, I want to follow them there. That's me, not you, not anybody else. Just my individual objective is to follow Prabhupada and to stay here and serve Krishna. I have to tell you, confess, I should say, in 1968, when I first joined the temple, I don't know if I was initiated or not. Maybe I was initiated, just barely, I was at Powell Street in San Francisco where the cable cars come down and turn around. I was down there in Sankirtan, it was blazing hot. So I don't know, I was initiated in September. I don't know how hot it was, but maybe it was before I was initiated. But anyhow, it was blazing hot. And I was standing there like practically hallucinating. And I began to see all the people around us became almost like phantasms, like not ghosts like hunting you, but like disembodied. I saw the people there. All I was seeing was their mental body being driven by the jiva inside, right? But I didn't see them as physical bodies. I saw them as mental bodies. And I sat there and I saw crowds and crowds and crowds. And I made a vow. And I made a vow. Doesn't mean I never changed my mind. When you make a vow, you don't get the chance to change your mind. Your vow is your vow. I made a vow that I would not leave this material world until every single jiva, every single spirit soul had a chance to hear the holy name of Krishna. That was my vow. Pretty stupid, no? But I did it. And now I can't undo it. So that's what I'm going to do.
Kind of missed it. When did you make the vow? Exactly.
1968.
Whatever.
I became initiated in September 20th, 1968. I don't think it was the next year because I wasn't even there the next year. It must have been 1968. Guru Kripa was also there. He had just taken initiation also. And we were chanting and dancing in a circle. And I was standing there. It was so hot that I was like in a heat wave. I was practically hallucinating. And while I hallucinated, I saw all these people, but not like well-formed people, but almost like energies of people. And I said, oh, they must go back to Godhead. And I said, I will not, I made the vow. I didn't ask to be given that benediction, or what do you want to call it, or curse, whatever you like to call it. I made the vow, independent of Krishna, independent of Prabhupada, independent of my own common sense. I made the vow I will not want to go back to Godhead until they're all delivered. So I'm going to stick with that, okay?
Haribol. Okay.
Yeah, so what's next?
So anyone have any questions? Banu Prabhu, Rupa Manjari, Andrew Prabhu, Matthew Prabhu? Clarification?
Just about child protection is that I heard when Srila Prabhupada heard about someone that wasn't following and got to talk to him again, one of the things he said is, you're not eating cows, right? So, like, I mean, that goes to show.
An initiated disciple, right?
Yes.
Yes, well, what could he do? Basically, Prabhupada, by Vaishnava standards, Indian Vaishnava Brahminical standards, Prabhupada was supposed to go to his godbrothers, throw himself at their feet, weeping, begging their forgiveness for having initiated someone who then left the association of the guru.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that just like because it shows how important it is to Srila Prabhupada, that
Oh, absolutely.
cow protection.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, we shouldn't eat dogs either. We don't protect dogs, but we shouldn't eat them. And cats are not that easy to eat. They're trickier to eat. So no, we don't need to do that. We can grow beautiful vegetables using cow dung as manure and cow urine. We plant where the cows urinate. Then when we grow the vegetables, they are glorious. Is Rupa Manjari still there?
Yes.
Okay. I think I was hoping that you, Ramachandra and Rupa Manjari, were going to be running this particular session on the topic of cow protection.
Well, we ran it till we could.
But not just reading quotes, but discussion also, and observations and realizations.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. We read it, and then Rupa Manjari Prabhu saying something. Okay, 1 second. Unmute me. Okay, Bhanu Prabhu saying unmute. Asked to unmute. Rupa Manjari Prabhu. You can unmute yourself, Rupa Manjari Prabhu.
I was asking about Govinda Devi Dasi, if you know her, because she has 300 acres.
She does?
Yeah.
In Hawaii?
It's in actually Louisiana.
Govinda Dasi? Is that the
Yes.
original Govinda Dasi?
I think so.
Well, she was recently living in Hawaii.
Okay.
She's the one. If it's the same Govinda Dasi, it is she and her husband Gaur Sundar who got Prabhupada to saying, we don't think it's enough to call you Swamiji. What can we call you? And he ran up a bunch of names, titles, and Prabhupada was one of them. And they said, no, Prabhupada, we want you to be called Prabhupada, without even knowing fully what it meant. And certainly not knowing that the Gaudiya mouth had all taken a vow not to use the term Prabhupada. So that's the same Govinda Dasi. And what year? After 2009, somewhere in that time, Rupa Manjari should know, she was stayed with us for a period of time. Does Rupa Manjari remember the year?
Maybe 2013.
At the latest. Remember, I put in a bathtub so she could take baths. We only had a shower before then. It was probably earlier, but it was probably maybe 2011 or 12. But anyhow, so I personally was hoping to hear you Rupa Manjari, Ramachandra, and whatever quotes we could find, discussing your realizations on cow protection in America. So is that possible for a while, or should we leave that for a different occasion?
Well, this meeting is almost over.
Well,
Yeah.
we started at 8, now it's 9:30. We have maybe 20 more minutes, or not, as the case may be.
I think if we go by what Prabhupada has said, he's basically outlined the whole thing. We just have to go systematically reading it and then looking Varnashram and cow protection, and then having
But what about Prabhupada's books that are filled with his quotes on Dava Varnashram specifically?
Yeah, there are books written already, so we have to grab those books.
Yeah, let me get one. I'll show it to you on the screen.
Jai.
You can go through quotes on One Chant tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good. Yes. Yeah, there's books that have been produced by different ISKCON initiators, so we can use those.
No, well, this book produced is not about a guy who's involved with cows. He is simply gathered up all Prabhupada's quotes on cow protection.
Ah. Maybe you can give that to Rupa Manjari Prabhu. What is that?
She has, I gave her one.
Oh, she has one. Okay.
Okay, let me see. How can I show it? Can I reverse the? How do I put it on the screen?
You can, Narayan Prabhu.
I cannot.
No.
See if you can find a digital copy on the net.
What is the name
Okay.
of that book, Narayan Prabhu?
It's volume 1. It was supposed to be like 4 volumes or so.
Okay.
And I met the author in Hawaii, where he was staying in a hut, very nice on the temple property. It's called Volume 1, Speaking About Varnashram.
And who's the author?
And the title is Srila Prabhupada on Varnashram and Farm Community Development.
Written by
Okay.
whom?
It
Who
is
compiled
written-
it? Who compiled it? Author.
Compiled by Krishna Devi Dasi and edited by Sureshwar Das.
Okay.
Narayan, I don't have that book.
Well, I offered. Oh, I offered it to you. You can have it when you see me next.
Okay.
Speaking about
Volume-
Varnashram, right?
Yes.
Speaking about Varnashram,
We can look it up.
if it's okay with you,
Yes, Narayan Prabhu. We can read from it. A couple of pages till like 9 o'clock. I mean 10 o'clock, and we'll end it there.
well, there's not that much, but I just randomly, I guess.
This book is published by the Bhakti Vedanta Book Trust. So it is an ISKCON book.
Yes,
Oh, I didn't know.
but it was never widely.
Distributed, talked about.
Okay, first printing 1999,
Yes, that's the one.
1,000 copies.
Oh, sure.
So there's no further printings as far as I know. Introduction, copyright Norma Petrov and the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. Drawings by Stephen Petrov and Maharani Devidasi, Mary Petrov. Courtesy Hare Krishna Rural Life, pages 41 to 89, etc. Well, why don't I go to page, let's say 89 and see what it says. It's an amazing book. Oh, I see. Here's an illustration. What's going on here?
I got the book. Can you give access to screen sharing?
Okay,
I can't
Prabhu.
I can't reverse the image on the screen.
Bhanu Prabhu found the book. So Bhanu Prabhu found the book. Jai Bhanu Prabhu.
Online?
Yes.
Wow.
Compiled by Hare Krishna Devi Dasi, right? Compiled
Oh,
by?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Share the
It's called
screen.
Speaking
Bhanu.
about Varnashram. Now, how many printings did it have? And
Huh?
how many volumes? I only have volume 1.
Okay, Jai. Here we go.
Page.
Bhanu is only 4 pages, Bhanu Prabhu.
Okay.
That's the short version.
Okay, read. Someone read.
Now, Narayan Prabhu, do you want to read from the book? That'd be great.
Sure. Let's see if I can find a particularly juicy quote. It depends where it is. Well, Mauritius. There's a quote on a morning walk in Mauritius in 1975. Should I read that one?
Yes. Yes.
Or should I choose a different one?
That's fine. Narayan Prabhu, whichever one you like.
There's one in Mayapur, there's Paris, Mayapur, Vrindavan. The Varnashram mission, he writes.
There's only 4 pages, like 3 pages.
Yeah.
Read from previous starting.
Let's see.
Is it a pamphlet, the book?
No, it's a book. Bhanu.
It's only 4 pages, no?
No. That you're just getting a preface. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Let's, in Mauritius, he says self-sufficiency or commercial production. Prabhupada, right? It says capitalism and communism, grow to eat or grow to sell, substance versus market-oriented production. You see, this is why I keep insisting against probably a lot of people's inclination that you don't need money in the Daibono mushroom system. Maybe initially you have to keep a supply of money on the side, the way a king would have a treasury, but not for the devotees. They don't need to buy and sell things in their own community. That would turn it into karmi nightmare. Okay, Chaivana. Chaivana is a person I knew from Mumbai, and then he went to Africa. So I guess he's in Mauritius.
He has passed away. Chaiva Swami passed away.
He did pass away?
Yeah. He was in Florida.
Really? What did he pass away from?
It was, I think, 2 years ago he passed away. Chaiva Swami, yes.
Oh, okay, well.
He was a Ritvik initiator.
He was?
Yeah.
You're joking?
Yes. No, yes. He was a Ritvik initiator.
That's initiator.
Yeah.
Are you sure Chaivana?
Yes, that one. Chaivana Swami, the one that went to
For
Africa.
God's sake. Yeah, I knew him very well in Mumbai in 1972 and 3.
Yeah.
But my God, he was a hostile company man.
Yeah.
Anyhow, there's a whole story attached to that, why Prabhupada built the hut that we were living in to be so miserably hot with a canvas roof, of all things, oil-soaked canvas roof. And I finally figured out it's because he didn't want us to sleep there during the day. So he designed a building for us to live in that was intolerable to stay in during the day. Couldn't sleep in there. So if you're going to sleep, you have to sleep outside. Since sleeping during the day was forbidden by Prabhupada, you'd have a hard time sleeping out of doors without being seen. So that was another one of Prabhupada's tricks. Okay, shall I read?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Capitalism and communism, grow to eat or grow to sell, subsistence versus market-oriented production. Chaivana. The capitalists are so anxious for money that they exploit the tendency of the living entity to enjoy by tempting him. Every year they create some new way to entice him. Prabhupada. And taxation. And the taxation is divided amongst them. The tax is meant for public welfare. Instead of public welfare, they divide it amongst themselves and enjoy wine, women, motor car, and flesh. That's all. This is going on. All this income tax plundering process. This income tax means a plan now to take away everything from the actually earning members of the society. You see, some people are worried about being Shudra. Well, the Shudra gets full benefit of his work. But if he is a free laborer, he gets exploited to death, what's Prabhupada saying here. That is income tax, and that is divided amongst administrators, that's all. Chaivana, here it is very prominent. The workers in the fields, they are barely making enough to live from day to day, but the planters who live in France, they are taking millions of rupees and living very comfortably. Therefore, communism is coming, go this way. Chaivana, is it this way? We can go this, or better that way. Now he's coming the other way. I think it's somebody, a human being. Prabhupada, create among their danger, just like airplane. It is comfortable. You can quickly go from one place to another, but as soon as on the plane, immediately your life is at risk. There's no certainty. So this is the way of the material world. You create some comfort, then you create greater dangers also, side by side. It cannot be unhampered comfort. That is not possible. You create a motor car, the same thing. You drive very speedy and you meet accident. Railway, the accident. There is no need. You produce your feed locally, produce your milk, then eat, drink, and live comfortably. Chant Hare Krishna, that is one. Make your life successful. Yes. Yad Uttama Shloka Gurunu Varan Alam, from the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.22. Transcendental description of the Lord, who is defined in choice poetry And if you've got education, then describe the glories of the Lord by your scientific and educational qualifications. The rain is coming. We can, oh, this is, I think this is an observation. Then you are useless because you cannot go to the ultimate point of education. Therefore, your education is useless. You see, this is how we need to concentrate with the League of 10K, to focus on Prabhupada saying things like that, and then us not talking about it, quoting and finding other quotes, but deal with it and make it happen. That's it. We don't have to talk about it. We can do it. That's the great crime of ISKCON, is not taking action. Pushta Krishna was there, okay. But then they will ask, you will come and bring me food. Prabhupada, yes, I will give you food. Food is there. You are not creating food. It is from the earth that it's grown. Brahmananda. But we have to work very hard. Otherwise, we won't get money for buying food. Prabhupada, no. You work very slight 3 months in a year and get all the food. Food is there. Milk is there. Land is there. You have to work. Chaivana. That is their propaganda. Prabhupada, we don't require all these things because, as we know, others are victims. They pay for it. They work hard for the money and pay to work. That's all. Our men never touch the Coca-Cola and cigarette, but others, they are mad after it. Brahmananda, they say they have to work so hard to get food, but actually they're working hard for this, meaning, I guess, cigarettes and whatnot. Prabhupada, he'll get food. Food they can grow very easily, but they are anartha. That is called anartha. Anartha means unnecessarily adushraya tata sadhu sango ta bhajana kriyi tato narata nirriti syat. So anartha, nirriti, civilization, not anartha, increasing. Civilization means anartha, nirriti, shayad. So we are complicated by the anarthas. Unwanted things break. This way there is bulls, horses for transport, but that is due to the use of these big. So what is the use of these big motor buses that acquire petrol, machine, factory, so many things? But nature's way, there's already means of transport. The horses are there, the bulls are there, but they will eat them and they will then create motor big buses and then petrol them fight. Achabole tomara lagta sutta jagad morare. You give me the chura and milk, chowra and milk and bananas, nothing else. And so much useless labor for growing tea. That will be stopped. You can grow food. You drink tea, you'll require sugar. Then unnecessarily producing so much sugar cane. Then byproduct of sugar cane molasses, and you have to utilize. Then produce wine, liquor, one after another. Indian man. But our country depends upon sugar. Prabhupada, no, that is a mistake. Your country, you can produce your own food. That's all. Why you should depend? You produce food grains, you produce milk, then your necessities are supplied. Why should you produce unnecessarily? Brahmananda, here, I guess Mauritius, they use powdered milk because they have no cows. Just see. And here, even by the sugar cane, what is it called? Upper part, this part? The Indian men, we call it ag. Prabhupada, ag, yes. You can maintain thousands of cows. Indian men, but that's actually best food, you know. In Punjab, they use that. They store it for a year. Prabhupada, but you do not know how to be happy. Indian men, even this land, there is producing sugarcane. So that is a strong for wheat. They can grow plenty of wheat. Prabhupada, oh yes, everything can be grown. Chaivana, if sugarcane will grow, anything will grow. It's very fertile. Indian man, because they don't want to do anything, they simply plant the sugarcane and then they want rest for a few months, simply getting money and taking and drinking. Prabhupada, yes. Indian man, no work. Prabhupada, getting rice, wheat from outside, they can charge any price because the price of grain is increasing. Indian man, anytime they can stop it. Anyhow, do you want me to go on with it or find another quote somewhere else?
That's fine. That's it's pretty powerful stuff. Prabhupada is saying how.
Okay, well, let me finish just one more page. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Prabhupada, the symptoms are very prominent in this age. Everyone is working very hard simply for sense gratification. And as soon as you take this life of sense gratification, you are sure to commit sinful activities. For example, throughout the whole world, there are so many breweries manufacturing liquor. Especially in the Western countries, you will find so many advertisements, liquor advertisements, whiskey advertisements, cigarette advertisements. And what to speak of slaughterhouse? There are many, many hundreds and thousands of slaughterhouses, and innocent animals are being killed all over the world unnecessarily. People can live with food grains. That is allowed for all the living entities. Can you imagine this being read to people on welfare and people on what you call it, unemployment insurance, who say, oh, we're running out of unemployment insurance? Then you say, people can live on food grains. That is allowed for all living entities. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Anad Bhavanti Bhutani. Simply growing food grains, both the animals and the man, they can live very happily. And you can grow food grains very easily. I've seen in the Western countries, they're growing food grains for the animals, and the food grains are eaten by the animals, and then the animals eaten by man. They're producing food grains. What is the statistic for the animal eating food grains at the same time? The same amount of food grains can be eaten by so many men. Ramananda, the acreage. For a cow to eat requires so many acres for that one cow, then that cow is slaughtered and it only feeds a few men. Whereas that same acreage can feed hundreds of men by grains. Prabhupada, yes. Devotee, 17 times. Can you imagine? Look at that statistic. 17 times. Kill a cow, 7 times more. The grain will feed 17 times more people than the slaughtered cow. Prabhupada, so these things are to be noted. How they are engaged in sinful activities. So these things are to be noted. How they are engaged in sinful activities, and the solution is given in the Bhagavad Gita, that produce food grain. Anand Bhavanti Bhutani. So I see in this Mauritius land, you have got enough land to produce food grains. You should produce food grain. I understand that instead of growing food grain, you are growing sugar cane for exporting. Why? And you are depending on food grains, on rice, wheat, dal. Why? Why this attempt? Yes, you first of all grow your own eatables. Then if there is time and if your population has got sufficient food grains, then you can try to grow other fruits and vegetables for exporting. The first necessity is that you should be self-sufficient. That is God's arrangement. Everywhere there is sufficient land to produce food grains. Not only in your country, I have traveled all over the world, Africa, Australia, and in America also. There is so much land vacant that if we produce, you see, this is what Prabhupada's point is. There is so much land vacant. So you're worried, how are we going to get land? There is so much land vacant. Prabhupada was asked that question. He said, there is so much land vacant that if we produce food grains, then we can feed 10 times as many population as at the present moment. There is no question of scarcity. The whole creation is so made by Krishna that everything is purnam, complete. Purnam idam purnam adaha, purnat purnam udachyate, purnasya purnam areya, purnam eva vashishyate. Upanishad. If we don't produce food grain, you require it, and put unnecessary men into scarcity, that is sinful. That is sinful. Everything, every instruction for our happy life and to advance in Krishna consciousness and make life perfect. Isn't that interesting?
Chewing the chew.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to read something just slightly out of context in another part here, just to give an idea of how Prabhupada was discussing how to specifically do the Varnashram. I'll just start here for just a few paragraphs. It's okay?
Yes. Let's go for about 5 more minutes now. And Prabhu, we're coming out about 2 hours. So yes.
Okay. Yeah, 5 more minutes is 2 hours. Prabhupada, 4 regular principles essential, but only the Shudras or the churches, like the churches, they have to learn how to kill. Okay, not only the churches, like the churches, they have to learn how to kill. So practically, they should go to the forest and kill some animal. If he likes, he can eat also. If he likes, he can eat also. That's interesting, because that's what the Kshatriyas used to do. They tend to eat meat, but the Pandavas mostly did not. Kriyananda, what he kills. Prabhupada, yes, but not from the slaughterhouse. Those are Kshatriyas. They're allowed sometimes to eat meat. We understand Bhima. Bhima also eating sometimes meat. Bhima amongst the Pandavas. This is not the quote that I was really looking for. Let me see something else. And I don't think we're going to need to eat meat.
I mean, if you're strong like Bhima, you can eat meat. But who is strong like Bhima?
Yeah. He was able to box the prince. Where the Pandavas were saying, you know how boxing is, doesn't mean like a boxing ring, punching in a boxing ring. You know what boxing means in that sense?
You go
Bhima
box.
Bhima was the only one besides Karna who could box somebody. You know what boxing was?
Box the elephant.
No. What did he do with his adversary, a human adversary? How did he box him?
He practiced on a
means.
Do you know? Anyone know?
No.
Otherwise, I'll quickly tell you. Boxing meant you could grab the person, grab his head, stuff it into his chest, grab his arms, stuff his arms into the chest, then grab his legs and stuff them up into his chest. What you have left is a box.
Right. If you can do that to an elephant, then you can eat meat.
Yeah, go for
No,
it.
Bhima is voracious. He ate voraciously and worked voraciously. He has a strength of 10,000 elephants.
Yeah. When the Kurus heard about this prince being boxed, they said, there's only one person who could have done that. That's Bhima. We have found where they're hiding. Now let's go there and kill them. But at that time, Arjuna came to the end of his curse. He got on the chariot. He was a dancing master, eunuch, and he was on the chariot with the 17-year-old prince of the kingdom, and they were galloping along, and he needed to get his weapons and armor. And the prince said, how did I get into this? I'm going to go to war with a dancing master on my chariot, wearing a sari or something of that sort. And so they went and they found where they hid Arjuna hid his weapons and everything in trees where they put dead bodies wrapped in cloth.
Animal skin. Yes.
Yeah, just like the Zoroastrians, right? The tower. Well, these people were like that, but they weren't Zoroastrians. They put them in trees. So he wrapped his cloth weapons up so they looked like dead people and put them in the same tree with the dead people. So when he got there, he started unwrapping it. But at that moment, the magic moment occurred where curse was off. And all of a sudden, this effeminate little castrated eunuch suddenly became Arjuna, the mighty warrior. And so they thought, okay, we've got him cornered. But, the Mahabharata goes on to describe how the Kurus, of course, once again failed. Okay, now, wait a second here. Okay, this is good. Hridananda, what kind of training is there for a Shudra? Prabhupada, Shudra is general assistant. Hridananda, just Prabhupada, order carrier. He has no intelligence. Don't tell anybody that. He doesn't require intelligence. Do this, that's all. Well, he's a good employee, right? He works for the Vaishyas, the businessman. So what would he learn in the school, though, Prabhupada? What would this business be at the Varnashram College? Prabhupada, yes, that is also training to become obedient, because people are not obedient. What are these hippies? They are not obedient. So obedience also requires training. If you have no intelligence, if you cannot do anything independently, just be obedient to the other higher three classes. That is Shudra. You must agree to abide by the order of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. That's all. So nobody will be unemployed. Everyone should be trained up to sleep 6 to 8 hours and attend meeting, chant, and arctic, and the balance, you must work hard, not the sleeping unlimitedly. There is no limit. Yadavar. Srila Prabhupada? Prabhupada, yes. Yadavar says, what class does the arts and crafts come under? Prabhupada, Shudra. Yadavar, Sudra. Prabhupada, they are Shudras. Little arts and crafts can be trained up to the Shudras. They, at the present moment, they are given too much stress on the arts and crafts, meaning in the world. Yadavar, yes. Prabhupada, therefore the whole people population is Shudra. Redundant. That it is a fact. Prabhupada, that is the difficulty. All people are being drawn by giving them. I mean, to say attraction for high salary, and they're taking so-called technical education, and all of them working in the factory. Nobody's working on the field. They are Shudras. Vridananda. Artist is accepted as a philosopher in life. Prabhupada says. Vridananda. In our society, accepted as a philosopher. Prabhupada. Artist? Prabhupada. Vridananda. Yes, artist. No. Artist is also business of the Shudra. Vedanta, but I'm saying in modern society in America, they are considered Prabhupada nonsense philosophy. They do not know what is the meaning of philosophy. Fridananda, yes. That in your, Prabhupada says, in your Western countries, the rascals, they are writing philosophy on sex life, which is known by the dog. They are all less than Shudras. So Freud has become a philosopher. Vane Hare Shrigala Raja. In the jungle, the jackal has also become king. That's all. What knowledge is there? It is that the whole Western world is going on for industry, for making money, eat, drink, be merry, wine and women. They're all less than Shudras and Chandalas. This is the first time is being made to make them human beings, meaning Prabhupada. Don't mind I am using very strong words. That is the fact. Sri Ananda, it is true, yes. Prabhupada, otherwise, they are little animals with 4 hands, 2 legs, 2 hands, hand animals. That's all, yes, rejected them. Vedic civilization rejected them, Malachas and Yavanas, but yet they can be reformed. This is the point, but they can be reformed. That's ISKCON. Malachas and Yavanas turned into Brahmins on top of it. The process is the same. Not that because they are rejected, they cannot be reclaimed. They can be claimed also, just like you are being done. See? Although you are coming from the Malacha and Yavana, by training you are becoming more than a Brahmin. So there is no bar for them. Unfortunately, these rascals do not agree to accept. As soon as you say no more illicit sex, they become angry. As soon as I say there's no meat eating, they become very angry. Murkhad yopa delisho hi prakopayati na samyati. The rascals, fools, if you give them good lessons, education, they will be angry. Prakopayati na samayati payapanam pujanganam. The snake, if you give him nice milk and banana, the result be he will increase his poison. Panam pujan ganam kevalam visa vardhanam. By Krishna's grace, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's grace, you see, we're representing, by accepting Prabhupada, we are working closely and personally with Lord Chaitanya. Get it? This is the truth. By Krishna's grace, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's grace, they are being now trained up. Now you are being trained up and revised the whole edition of the Western civilization, particularly in America. Then a new chapter will come in. This is the program. Therefore, Varnashram school is required. Great, Dayananda. So Prabhupada, in this Varnashram college, is it true that there will be no need, for example, for teaching material history and mathematics? Prabhupada, no, there's no need. History is simply read Mahabharata. History is of the great men, Pandavas, how they were fighting for a good cause, how they were reigning. That history, not the rascal history. If you study that history millions of years, what is that history? And what will you learn from that history? You learn history from the really great men, how they worked, how they ruled. That is how you study the history of Maharaj Yudhisthira. Sridhananda, Mahabharat. Prabhupada, study the history of Maharaj Pariksit. That is required. Not simply chronological record, all nonsense and big books and making research. Why should you waste your time in that way? Sridhananda, Chaya, yes. And so you see, Sridhananda is trying to drag into the intellectual realm, which Prabhupada is breaking him, trying to break everybody out of. Prabhupada, history must be for great person. That is history. Sridhananda. So in our Varnashram college, the students that come to our college, they follow 4 regular principles. They follow, Prabhupada, 4 regular principles essential. But only the Shudras or the Kshatriyas. Just like the Kshatriyas, they have to learn how to kill. So practically they should go to the forest and kill something. Oh, there we go. You can, well, never mind that. So anyway, I'm back on that. So I snuck up on it. But this is not actually required per se for our Varnashram. If you go through this book, it goes and it describes how you can make real Varnashram, and it doesn't require going to the forest and killing animals. This is one walk, one conversation, and describing it.
Yeah, I mean, if they're really Kshatriyas, we can put them up against a big deer or something, you know? Let them handle them.
Not bear.
No guns allowed.
Maybe a bear.
A bear,
Why
yeah.
for the deer?
Yeah. Wow, yeah. No, I was thinking about deer with horns.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Real Kshatriya, you know, we give them the
So
training.
here's another thing, Kirtananda. But we devote at least 5 hours to Arti and Kirtan. Prabhupada, Satyabhama. Satyabhama is the wife of the fellow where we stopped, and I saw Prabhupada's mystical vision in the twilight of the inside the lotus flower. Satyabhama, another hour and a half or 2 hours for prasadam. Shama, eating? Satyabhama, yes, to eating prasadam. Prabhupada, 2 hours for eating? Parvananda was her husband. They came to Vrindavan after we had that meeting with them at that house. Eating and taking rest. Satyabhama, well, noon, prasadam, morning prasadam, milk in the evening. Parvananda, morning and evening, half hour, noon, 1 hour. I agree, but bathing, takes an hour. Prabhupada, so you want to stop chanting and reading? Satyabhama, no, she laughs. Kirtananda, we don't want to stop chanting. I don't want to. That's not my proposal. The proposal was, Satyabhama, which comes first? The work seems to have to be done, but the Prabhupada, you can forego your sleeping and eating. Satyabhama, Haribol! Like that. And, Prabhupada, the Goswamis were doing like that. Nidrahara Viharadak Kadi Vichito from Srinivasacharya Paris to the 6 Goswamis. Conquered over, Nidra means sleeping, Adhara means eating, and Vihara means sex. They were discharging their duties, and if sometimes they could still not finish the chanting, they would forego their eating and sleeping. Eating and sleeping, say 7 to 9 hours. Then we have to sacrifice our sleeping and eating. Prabhupada's just getting even with them for coming up with that schedule. Parvananda, but the Goswamis, they didn't swing axes all day, did they? Prabhupada, yes, he chuckles. Parvananda, they didn't do hard physical work? Prabhupada, no, they were writing books. So they were writing, you have to manage. You see, how can I suggest you can do this, you can do this? Everyone has to do, just like I do my work according to my own routine. You see, similarly, one has to, but if sometimes by chance you do not get any time for reading Bhagavad Gita, that does not harm very much because you are already engaged in Bhagavad Gita. Any duty here in New Vrindavan, just like Krishna is inducing Krishna to fight.
That fighting was also
within the program of this devotional service. Similarly, anything working within the New Vrindavan, that is also counted reading Bhagavad Gita. So someday you may don't read Bhagavad Gita, but that chanting must be finished. That is very essential. Hare Krishna. Can one chant while working? Prabhupada, yes, why not? Chanting is the basic standing of our life. Kirtanananda. I think there, as I look at it, we're spending about 5 hours a day in Arti and Kirtan, which I think is really good because I think that it is the heart of Vrindavan. Prabhupada, yes, that is the life of Vrindavan. So I don't want to sacrifice that for anything. Kirtananda says, Prabhupada, yes, that must be. Kirtananda, that must be there. That's the heart. Prabhupada, you can forego even reading Bhagavad Gita, but that must be continued. Kirtananda, but now, right now, of course, this is not time for pruning, but I'd like to prune to show people that we are really have something. Prabhupada, yes. Kirtananda, it would be nice for our community, it would be nice for the people who visit us that they be able to see that, they're able to carry out with their gardening. Prabhupada, no, you also require some fruits for their existence, your existence also. Krishna will like it. Kirtananda, actually, it will help morale if they just have a little better prasadam. Prabhupada, yes, and now we require some assistance, some more assistance. Yes, so Krishna will send gradually. You'll have more men here and engage them. Kirtananda, the way it works out, run at the afternoon, they never seem to get much done anyway. There's a lot of frustration because sometimes I have a feeling like it's a lot of time being wasted. But still, it seems very difficult because you figure, well, supposing prasadam were offered at 2 and you don't finish up until about 3, then they rest until 4. By the time they bathe and everything, it's time to start getting ready for kirtan. Hare Krishna, we finished Arti and Kirtan by 6 o'clock this morning. That means the other early morning prasadam must be ready at 6 o'clock. So we finished by 7. Then we work from 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 11 to 12 to 1 to 2. That's 8 hours. Hard work in the morning and then the rest of the afternoon off. Kirtananda, that's all right. Hare Krishna. But we should get at least 8 hours hard work in on the grounds. Satyabhama, can the men do that 8 hours hard work without a break? Hare Krishna, sure, I could. Hare Krishna was a giantly strong guy. Parmananda, but there's not enough time in the afternoon for chanting. Hare Krishna, what do you mean? The whole afternoon. Prabhupada, that is nice. That in the morning you work after prasadam, you are at ease, take rest, or read from whatever you like. Hare Krishna, there's plenty of time from 2 o'clock till bedtime. That's 8 hours. You have from 2 to 10. You can't chant 16 rounds in 8 hours? Parmananda. Well, I have to begin my duties with the cow at 5 o'clock. So we will be finishing prasadam and rest at about 4 o'clock. That leaves me 1 hour, which is filled up with other odd chores. I agree. Well then, if you have to take extra hours, then you have to work in the afternoon. Do you have an extra hour? Satyabhama, 2 hours. Kirtananda, since you milk, that's funny, Prabhupada's not in this, oh yeah, he comes back in. Since you milk the cows in the evening like that, you could take an hour or so off early, that would be all right. I agree, but then you can take off at 1, then you put an hour in the afternoon, and with the cow, then take off an hour from 1 to 2 to chant, Satyabhama. Then we have from 7 to 8. Kirtananda, we'll try it that way. I agree, but sometimes we're not so slow. We're so slow in getting started in the morning. Parmananda, it's not enough time because that is, if in the morning, the entire morning is allotted to the major tasks. Because the thing is, I find that there are many, many time-consuming little chores to be done that without which Vrindavan would be a mess. There are so many little tasks to be done. That's where you have Shudras. You see, they help with those things. Hare Krishna, I'm president. Prabhupada, you are the president, and who is secretary? Hare Krishna, Shamadasi, his wife, his secretary. Prabhupada, huh? Hare Krishna, Shamadasi. Prabhupada, Shamadasi, secretary, and who is treasurer? Hare Krishna, Hrishikesh. Prabhupada, Hrishikesha, not the same Hrishikesh. And what is Kirtanananda Maharaj's position? Hare Krishna, he is the moth commander. devotee one, Prime Minister, Shama, advisor, I agree, but general advisor.
Narayan Prabhu.
What? So Prabhupada, the
You could
Master
do it in
Builder-
the next session. Concentration would be, you could concentrate on it better.
Yeah, Rupa
Okay.
Manjari Prabhu has left, so let's do it next.
Oh. Okay, well, this is all from Rupa Manjari, of course.
Yes, that's why I want to. end
Okay,
it.
Jai. Well, anyhow, this is just one section of this, but there's a lot of places in this where Prabhupada actually talks about structuring Dhammavanashram in America.
Jai, Haribol. So
Jai.
we'll continue this tomorrow. Anyone who's watching this on Facebook and YouTube, they can participate in this live Zoom sessions by reading and sharing their realizations.
So
just send
Prabhu,
me-
Badu, Robert Chandra, I beg you, all of you, please work with me and also work with Rupa Manjari to create the text for Varnashram Dharma.
Yes,
And I
anyone who's
promise you,
watching
we're
this,
not going to have any, no killing of animals to
yes.
practice your bow and arrow.
All right, so we'll end it here then, Prabhu. And
Yeah.
any
Okay.
last words, Bhanu Prabhu, to the viewers?
We're going live on various platforms. Anyone can leave a message and we'll send the invite link to join the Zoom conversation.
Anu, again, I want to thank you for doing such a wonderful job. Good questions, good intelligence, good management.
Jai Bhanu Prabhu, Haribol.
Haribol.
All right, Prabhus, I'll end it here. Thank you very much to all the devotees for participating online and offline. And this is being archived, so anyone can watch. All right, Prabhus. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Did Mahaprabhu come on?
Mahaprabhu came on and he left. So
He's there. Mahaprabhu is there.
He's still here?
no, he's not here anymore. Oh yeah, he's there, but he's on mute. So
Asleep. Maybe.
yes, he might be sleeping. All right, Prabhus. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Where
Krishna.
did that new Mataji come from?
Oh, I forget. We'll ask her
YouTube?
next time.
You give the link on YouTube for joining?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's very nice that she's here, but I thought it was Shreya, and I was saying, boy, Shreya, is she still on this Mataji? Where's she
She's Priyanshi. She's coming on right now. She just entered. So we're just okay.
Okay,
all right.
so just tell her that we welcome, we don't make any, we are talking a spirit soul. So we made no distinction between human, animal, bird, peacock, man, woman, child. If you are a jiva, speak.
Jai.
If you're a parrot, speak, but don't repeat yourself all the time if you're a parrot.
No, you can repeat Hare Krishna.
Yeah. But if you're a parrot, speak from your realization, of course.
All right, Prabhu. Priyanshi Prabhu, thank you for reading that cow protection. We'll have another session tomorrow about 7:45. We'll start, and then
Johnny,
we're going to be reading from this
tomorrow also, huh?
tomorrow also.
Okay,
Bhanu
great.
Prabhu will be the chief tomorrow.
Okay. Wouldn't it be
Very
funny if a parrot comes on and he does what you say? He said, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then he says, what does that mean? What does that mean? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. What does that mean? Hare Krishna, what does that mean? He doesn't understand. So he has to say, what does that mean? Anyhow, I'm just kidding.
Okay, Prabhu. Haribol.
Haribol, glory to Prabhupada.